Hey everyone, welcome back to the Broadcast, episode 21. Good morning, Tuesday morning. How's everyone doing today? Again, like I said, we're going to keep going with this as much as I can, hopefully 4 days a week. Miss you guys, had a lot of fun yesterday, glad to be started back up. If you haven't had a chance yet, if you could subscribe, that'd be very beneficial. What that does is that allows me to get a few discounts on where I actually host some of these podcasts and on YouTube as well. So depending on where you're listening, feel free to drop a like or subscribe, and love to hear some comments if you guys are interested in suggesting any topics or you have any questions or comments on what I say. That's what it's about. It's like a conversation. I love hearing feedback, and I love talking to you guys as much as possible. I'm surprised how many people overseas are actually listening. It sounds like I actually got quite the large French population that listens to my podcast, which is kind of cool. So cheers, guys, overseas that are enjoying it. Miss you, and hopefully you can come visit sometime once this whole COVID pandemic is done. So let's continue, I guess. So basically today we're going to chat about three things. An interesting thing is about Ticketmaster, which I read about earlier this morning. Ticketmaster is a organization that sells tickets and stuff, and they actually disclose some very worrying information that they actually hacked a competitor. So that's one thing we're going to talk about. Another thing we're going to get to a little bit later is about what to do in the new year when it comes to self-growth. And what I kind of recommend is learning something new or trying something or getting better at something, right? And then finally, I want to touch on how we can kind of become better ourselves just in the long run. And what that kind of entails is appreciating what you have and perhaps getting a better perspective on where you are and where things are in the world. And that goes into more of a specific topic, but we'll touch on that in just a second. So jump right into it. Back to the first topic, Ticketmaster, right? Okay, so if anyone, again, is overseas and listening, in the United States, we have this thing called Ticketmaster. And what Ticketmaster does is it sells concert tickets. And one might be thinking, okay, how's that different than buying a ticket anywhere else? Well, in the United States, for the largest venues, you can only buy tickets directly through Ticketmaster. So it's like I'm not going to say a monopoly because they do have competition, but it is an organization that pretty much has a chokehold on the music and performance industry, right? So they don't allow other companies to come in business because they're basically just too small. They can't compete with Ticketmaster, right? And so the biggest complaint, as a side note, that most people have with Ticketmaster is that there's a lot of folks in the United States who will scalp tickets. They'll essentially buy most of the tickets or the best seats Ticketmaster has off of the platform, and then they will sell them for a much higher price to other folks for the same seats. So it's not a good thing. And Ticketmaster's done nothing to kind of solve this because basically they don't have to. They're still making money one way or another. Good business for them, and it's unfortunate that people get screwed over. But the more interesting piece to this whole thing is Ticketmaster is now being fined $10 million for essentially hacking a competitor. I kid you not. I don't remember the name of the competitor. It was like something like Choice Tickets or something like Select Tickets or something like that. But basically, what happened was this company, Select Tickets or something, for whatever it's called, or their competitor, Ticketmaster's competitor. They had an employee that left, right? And he leaked some information to Ticketmaster's employees for whatever reason. We don't know what happened to this employee or where he went, but what Ticketmaster did with that information is they took it and they said, okay, now that we're going to know what shows and artists our competitor has, in the pipeline, we're going to create a team and have them track this for no future end, essentially. And so what the information was is it was login credentials and details to Ticketmaster's competitors' internal database on how they want to price things, how they want to do shows with what artists, basically every single bit of information to remain competitive in the industry. And how scummy Ticketmaster really is that the organization essentially took this information, created a team to literally do nothing but follow up on it, learn about their competitor through this like back door that their competitor had no idea that they had access to, and basically take that information and always stay one step ahead of their competitor. Now their competitor actually went out of business. So I think there's a case to be made to say that it is quite possible that Ticketmaster illegally ran their competition out of business through quite shady means, and using competitors' information is not illegal, but leaking company information is illegal. So while it wasn't, it's kind of like a gray zone, right? Because it's definitely not morally good, and it's definitely scummy, hands down. But will Ticketmaster get a slap on the wrist? I guess so, since they, are paying $10 million. That's probably like, half a month of profit for them, so it's not going to hurt them at all. But the point is, they were so malicious, they took insider information, which is illegal to leak out, and use that and created a whole team to basically screw over their competition instead of beating them and just trying to be a better company. That's definitely something I don't stand for, and it's definitely something I don't condone. Companies that do this need to be reformed. They need to grow, and they need to learn how to just do their own job better. I think this kind of aligns to the idea that in order to beat someone, you have to screw them over, and I really don't think that's the case. I think it's, if you just be better yourself, you can eventually learn to grow and kind of overcome your competition, if you will. So hopefully Ticketmaster learns from this and they clean up their act. Now, it's said that in the article that Ticketmaster would actually be creating a team that kind of makes sure that this doesn't happen again. It was like some internal team to make sure that their company isn't doing shady business practices, but who cares? Every company has these groups and they don't really do anything. I mean, they're all at the whim of the CEO anyways, so unfortunately. But hopefully we'll see where this goes. It's always been kind of a difficult thing to get tickets because of how shitty the scalpers are, and this is just like another thing that shows how little these big corporations actually care about you as people, and why I always recommend to people, don't put your faith in companies. If companies do something that seems aligned to your cause, I assure you, I guarantee that it is 100% for profit. They don't do things because it's out of the good of their heart. All of these initiatives for diversity and inclusion at most of these companies are just kind of, we have to check a box, so we're going to do it, or it's going to give us good clout so our competition and customers buy more of our product. It's not really because they care, and that's something a lot of people need to understand. In my previous career, I've kind of been a consultant for pretty much my entire career, and it's like, that's kind of what these companies hire consultants to do, is figure out how to make more money for them. So in terms of seeing all the shadiness of companies, ask any consultant and they'll basically tell you straight up. It's like these companies just want to make more money in any way possible, and it doesn't matter how they do it, as long as it's legal. If you find a company that sticks to its morals and actually has a purpose, that's probably a good company. It's probably rare, but I'm sure they exist. I'm sure they do. But it's definitely going to be like the unicorn in the industry. So take that with a grain of salt, or take it whichever way you like. So that's my kind of spiel on Ticketmaster. Hopefully they get better. Running into the next topic is learning something new. But what this actually kind of stems from, right, is more, we talked a little bit about New Year's resolutions yesterday, but today I want to talk about becoming better, because this is beyond a resolution of I want to do better, right? This is more, it's the start of a new year. You have an opportunity to reinvent yourself. Now, I would recommend potentially thinking about doing that every day. What did I do wrong yesterday? How do I be better? But let's get a little bit more in detail on how some ways we can do that, right? So if you think about time in a sense of years, right? Okay, now that we're starting fresh, we have an opportunity to get good at something, whatever it is. It can be something that you have done a long time and maybe just getting better at it, or it can be learning something entirely new. You know, this is why I kind of like the idea of a year, because you go through 4 seasons and it's like, okay, each of those seasons will affect the way that you can possibly do something. Like, let's say you've never run before and you want to, get good at running or something, or you just want to try it out, how's that going to work with you in the winter? How's it going to work with you in the summer? Is it going to be more difficult? It's kind of like an interesting way to see how you're going to react and adjust to things. And it's not always something that, and when I say get good, I don't mean you have to be great at it, right? If you're starting from zero and you've never done something before, maybe just take the next year and be like, okay, I want to be okay at something I've never done before. If it's new, if it's something you've been doing your entire life, okay, maybe it's time you want to get good to it, and give yourself a year, set a goal, see where you go. And what's the worst that could happen? You get a little bit better. Wow, that's so bad. This is really a important thing, I think. And I'm going to be speaking kind of like on behalf of young men here, because I see, a lot of young men out there that don't have a lot of drive, that don't have a lot of focus, that are kind of going in all these different ways left and right, and their minds are just spinning, and it's like they don't have anything to ground them. And I find that, at least for young men, finding that one thing that you can get good at or just get better at over the course of a year will really help ground you. It'll put you in an idea that you are of value to society in some way, or at least value to yourself in some way, that you are getting really good at something. I can't speak for women, but again, it's like for us young men, we have a lot of thoughts that are always going through our minds a lot of times, sometimes not so much, but it's like, especially when you're first trying to figure out who you are, doing something that grounds you can be so beneficial to your life. As an example, and this is the first time I'm opening up to you guys about this, in the cast, but I have another Instagram, which is Baroque Cuisine. It's like a cooking channel that I kind of do, not a channel, but more like a Instagram post, right? But cooking is a big passion of mine. When I was younger, it wasn't always easy growing up, and everyone goes through struggles left and right, and I've had my own, and I'm sure everyone else has had theirs too. But I was able to really take myself and find that thing that grounded me, which was cooking, and I got really, really pretty decent at it, I think. And through that, I've kind of taken that, and it's such a broad field that I've done so many different things in it, where I'm finding what I like, what I don't like. And, some things that like interest me is when you're cooking, when you're creating a recipe or you're building something up, you want to have proper tools and use those tools, and kitchen knives are, a thing of beauty to me. And it's like learning how to actually sharpen those, and eventually I'm going to learn how to make my own. It's something that I find incredibly relaxing. It's a very monotonous process that requires very intricate movements a lot of times, and you have to kind of learn how you go. And I'm not by any means good at it, but I'm okay. And so I learned how to sharpen my knives on a whetstone maybe like 10 years ago, and I've been getting better ever since. So I've gotten to the point where like I want to get good at it this year. Like, I don't want to be okay at sharpening knives anymore. I'm going to take the entire year and get good at it. And the reason, again, for this is my passion is cooking. It's what I like to do on the side. And because of that, specifically, it actually makes it more fun to me to learn how to sharpen these knives, which are, again, tools, right? They are nothing more than something that helps me enjoy my passion, right? If you were someone who liked snowboarding, it would be like a snowboard, getting a better snowboard, right? But imagine if you could every day make it a little bit better, or keep it in that pristine, perfect condition. And so that's why I kind of like it. It's like I get my own little ability to enjoy my passion more with the more time I actually spend on it. So I find that to be a lot of fun, But back to what I was saying, it definitely helped ground me, learning how to cook. And that was something I set out originally to get good on. And I think I'm actually a pretty decent cook, as compared to the population, as compared to, professional chefs and things like that. Probably not great. Probably say mediocre at best, but it just depends what your what your scale is, because I've had a chance to cook next to some of the most amazing chefs I've ever seen in my entire life, and they blow me out of the water every day. But it's not a competition. It's what are you doing yourself to enhance your own skills, and so that's one thing I took with me to say, like, okay, I can cook. I'm valuable to society to some degree because I now have a skill that is transferable. People that work on cars, things like that, they now have a skill that's transferable. They're valuable to society. And I think as young men, being born in this world, there's not really anything less valuable than a young man that has no education, no money, and no skills. They can't do anything. They can't really even there's no value. They have to create value. This is kind of, and this is my own opinion, but this is kind of a juxtaposition between young men and young women, is that I personally believe women are born into this world with inherent value. You guys have this incredible beauty to be able to create life. That is a thing that is valuable within society that is unmatched by anything else. It is something that men can never do, but as a young man, you don't have that ability. Your only thing is you can, at best maybe pick up heavier stuff. Like, that's, so what, so you have to, create that value yourself. And so again, my advice would be to, and anyone can take this advice, by the way. I recommend it to everyone. I'm just saying from personal experience, it was something that I found very helpful in this next year, is to find that thing that you want to start doing, which is new, and spend the entire year doing it, or get good at something you really already know you like to do. I think you'll find that if you do that, your life will be a little bit more grounded, and you will create a little bit more value that you didn't realize you had before. So take it, try it, and let me know what you think. I would love to know if you guys have had some similar thoughts on this before, and if there is something in your life that you've kind of taken to do this with. And I want to make sure everyone understands, when I am talking specifically about a usable skill within society, this is such a broad topic. It can be anything. Like, if fashion is your thing, then learn how to be a better fashionista. If photography is your thing, maybe learn how to take better pictures. Whatever it is, it doesn't matter. Maybe you love board games. Learn how to play board games better. I mean, like, literally, it doesn't matter what it is. Just make it broad enough to where, it's going to take some time to grow and learn in this thing. And I don't think there's really anything in life that you can't grow and learn to do better on. So I'll leave that there. And let me jump to my final topic of today, which is related to appreciating people and nature a little bit more. And I threw in nature at the end. And the reason I threw in nature is because I think that the idea of appreciation kind of stems from goods and services rendered to a certain degree. Definitely people as well, and that's a much higher category. But when a lot of people think of appreciation, the first thing that may come to mind, at least sometimes it does for me, sometimes it doesn't, is appreciating the things that you have. And the things that you have generally are not created from nature. If they are, they're a byproduct from something machined in a factory that is not normal or organic. And so I have found that the more you can kind of get outside just a little bit will help you appreciate what you have inside more. Inside your domicile, inside your domain, your home, and whatever's within reach of you, that you can use frequently, and this extends to people, and primarily people, again, secondary things, right? But learning how to be thankful for things is such an important thing to decompress and let go of anxiety, I think. And I'm definitely someone who I don't say really has anxiety on a lot of things. I think I deal with it pretty well. I enjoy high stress jobs because it doesn't really affect me that well, or that much. High stress doesn't, I guess. So, but learning, back to what I'm saying, how to appreciate things like when they're given to you, what you have greater than others. What even if you don't have, things greater than others, that's that doesn't mean you shouldn't not appreciate what you have, because you can always have less. You can look at things and say, hey, I may not be doing so hot right now, but I could be doing a lot worse if I was in a worse position. And that's kind of a way that some people might consider looking at things. I have found, again, that when I get out in nature, just jump back to that side of it for a second, I really do appreciate everything I have a lot more. And it's because nature has this sense of rawness to it, this sense of reality that being in a house doesn't have. And I think that speaks to some spiritual aspect or some older part of the human composition that we may not fully understand. That even if you're someone who doesn't like going outside, let's say you're a super introverted person who doesn't want to be in groups, and you just love your city apartment with, paved streets and, trees are just not your thing, which, by the way, that used to be me. It still, to a certain degree, is me. I want to make that very clear. But getting out to nature kind of resets you and kind of makes you appreciate that city building even more, because it's like, what would you have if you didn't have that? Maybe you'd be living in like a treehouse somewhere. Or a cave. I'm being facetious, but get yourself out there. Maybe it's the air, but being around and surrounded by life instead of dead things. And what I mean by that is, like, I got a computer here, I got a keyboard here, I got a coffee cup here, lights, walls, pictures. None of this is alive. There might be a plant or two in my house, but going outside, boom, you flip the switch and the entire environment's different. It's like everything around you is alive. Everything around you is trying to survive. Everything around you is working in homeostasis. Things that are in your home, they're not in homeostasis. You just put them there. So get out there and appreciate things more, starting with people and then moving to things. Appreciate people for the friends you have. Appreciate people for what they do to you. Appreciate people for things that you may not realize that they're doing. One of the most interesting pieces is, how many times have you been thankful for something that someone gave you? How many? Now think about how many times people have given you things or done things for you without you knowing. Probably astronomically more than when people have told you, hey, I did this thing for you. How many times have you done things for other people in their lives without them knowing, just because you wanted to be a better person? Don't think that doesn't happen to you, probably all the time. So there's a lot of appreciation that you probably aren't thankful for, because you're not even considering what could be happening. That's important. That's important for you. That's important for growth. That's important for understanding where your place is in the world, because that helps you see, okay, maybe I didn't get to where I am all by myself. Maybe it was a bit of luck. Maybe it was a bit of others helping that I didn't realize, and I appreciate that, and I can be thankful for that. So being thankful, that's a key. I recommend that to everyone. And get out there in nature. It's cold as hell now, at least where we are in the United States, but if it's nice outside, and even if it's cold, I do like getting out in a nice cold hike sometimes. Spend some time. It doesn't have to be long. Spend an hour or two outside. Go for a little walk. Get some fresh air. Be by plants. Get away from cars. That's kind of the goal. If you can get to a place where there's less cars than you can imagine, that's probably a place where there's a little bit of nature you can enjoy. And I think that will help you learn how to be more appreciative of the things you have and the people around you in a greater deal. So we'll close off there. Again, really appreciate you guys listening. If you get a chance, feel free to hit me up with a like and subscribe. I do appreciate every one of them, and I love doing this, and we'll look forward to tomorrow's episode. So I will catch you guys later, and everyone have a wonderful day. Peace.